Today's episode of Glen's Retro Show is brought to you by DNA Dimension Designs, the best custom retro gaming decals in the game, period.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I do have another tiny arcade to talk about. In fact, it's a tiny arcade. Once again, Super Impulse has come out with a small little arcade machine, also a keychain. It's their Frogger from the tiny arcade line from Super Impulse. Let's take a look at it. Okay, well, we can see here I have quite a few of the tiny arcades as it is, and this is my latest to the build. You can see the original line boxes were much larger. You can see it back here. And now with Walmart buying so many of them, I guess they decided to go with a smaller style because you can fit more on the shelf. So no matter where you buy these now, you're only going to get them most likely in these smaller sizes. So you kind of know it's the newer versions of them. These larger boxes, if you can find them, could be a collectible. I mean, I got a whole bunch of them, as you can see. But regardless, the design of the boxes are more or less the same. It's a nice clear plastic, so you can look all the way around the box. We'll get a little bit closer here. So you can see the style they did here. I have to say, out of all the tiny arcades, I'm most disappointed with the Frogger's artwork. It's not the original arcade cabinet's design in any way, shape, or form. And I will say that all of the Froggers that have been released, another company, Basic Fun, released a static screen version, which I did a review of. I'll put a link down below, and a color LCD version. All have this artwork, and I'm not quite sure why that is. But as far as the box itself goes, the box is really nice. You can put your hand in here, and you can start the demo mode up, and they do a very good recreation of all these. And technically, yes, it's a keychain. I don't know anyone who puts it on their keychain, but they do have that on there. Batteries are included. It runs on a couple of AAA batteries. But let's get the sucker out of the box and take a look at it. Okay, well, right here you can see my two arcade machines, my Pro Play and my Zaxxon, coming down to a couple of the quarter scale arcade 1-up machines. Now if we keep going down, 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 what do we have here? Oh, there we go. So we get the size of these little tiny arcades in comparison to, say, an arcade 1-up. Hit the little button on here, fire this little guy up. Quite a bit smaller, so people complaining that the arcade 1-ups are too small, well, try and stand in front of one of those tiny arcades. Okay, we'll say they still use their standard arcade little cabinet here. It's really nice little design. Just the artwork on this particular one in no way reflects the arcade machine. I'm assuming they have some type of licensing issue with that, because all of the home versions of this as of late have been using this type of artwork on here, and it's just not like the arcade. Now, I will say, if you do join us on the Tiny Arcade fan page on Facebook, a friend of mine, Bruce Yeager, has redone the artwork, and you can make this look like the actual arcade machine in a small form factor, which I think is definitely something you'd want to do to these little guys. It's not very hard. You print it on self-adhesive labels, cut it out, and put it right on. Now, I'll get a little closer to this little guy right here. We can see, once again, they have a small little joystick. I never had any problems with these small joysticks. They work really well for all directions that are on here. And you have two buttons. To be honest, one button is all that's going to be used. to put a coin in and start the game. What's really nice about these, and I wish Arcade 1-Up and other people would do it, is the marquee does light up. It's such a small little touch, but it really adds to the effect. And I really wish Arcade 1-Up and these other manufacturers would just put one LED back there and light these up. On the back here, we can see there is a keychain holder on here. I guess you can hang on your Christmas tree. I don't know people who do put these on their Christmas trees this time of year. And we have a screw back here for our batteries. I believe it takes 3 AAA batteries. And you have your main on-off switch on the back right here. And on the bottom is a speaker. And the quality of the screen has always been very, very good. I never really know how well the screen's going to turn out until I start editing the video. But the screen here is very, very good. I mean, they're a 1.44-inch screen. And for bringing a machine of a 19-inch or an 18-inch old monitor down to this size, it still works very, very well. The gameplay is very good. The one thing with the tiny arcades people have made issue about is the frame rate. Again, these are not real arcade machines, they're recreations, but very, very well done recreations. And I think losing a couple frames per second is not a bad deal for something on this particular size. Maybe in the future they can go with a faster chipset. But in the meantime, I really don't see that to be a problem. So we'll get a little bit closer here and get some gameplay footage of this little Frogger. And there are some things I'll point out, and I'll show you the differences on my Pro Play arcade machine running MAME, just so you get some of the differences in. Okay, so we have the typical Super Impulse cabinet here and controls. We're going to hit this button right here to insert a coin. I think we have to do it twice to get the game to go. There's our coin. And you can see the music is not the same as Frogger had in the arcade. But we don't need any of the buttons. We simply have to get our frog across the street, avoiding traffic, going in the backs of turtles and logs to get across the way. And the frame rate is maybe, I don't know, maybe it's running at 15 frames a second. I can't say for sure. But again, it's fine for what it is. I mean, it's a tiny little screen. It's a little keychain. Still very, I would say, pretty accurate, other than the music and at this point. The sound effects seem pretty arcade accurate. Here's our little grill frog. The sound sounded pretty accurate to the machine, the arcade. Oh, jumped a little too early. But the joystick is very responsive. But the music is definitely not at all what would be playing in the arcade machine. And again, I guess they have some type of licensing issue. But it's still very fun to play. I mean, if you are a fan of Frogger at all, this is for what it goes for. Now, this I had gotten actually through ThinkGeek. Normally I would go to Cracker Barrel, but they were the same price. They were about 20 bucks, $19.95. Walmart generally sells these for $12.95, but they don't currently have this model. They have the previous generation. Right now, Cracker Barrel and ThinkGeek, and probably some other places online, you'll find it, but generally you're going to find it for $19 and up. And I would say $19 is probably the most I would pay for these little guys. I mean, they're neat and all, but when you know Walmart's going to get them for $12 at some point, about $19 is all you're going to want to spend. And once you complete a level, obviously it just goes to the next level, and it's mostly the same. Eventually you start running into snakes and alligators across the way. There's a little crocodile up there right now opening his mouth. But that's it. So let's take a look now what this would look like if you were playing this on a MAME emulator or the actual arcade machine. Now this is something I have not done before. I've never taken one of these Super Impulse or other console games and compared it to it running in MAME, being, you know, an arcade, basically an emulator, because for the most part they were pretty close or very, very far apart. I mean, some were so far apart there's no point in comparing, because you can definitely tell there's no way it's close to the arcade. And then with some ports that were so close, it's like, you know what, you have to give them a little leeway. But just that the music in Frogger was such a part of the game that it's something I want you guys to see and hear, actually. So I'm going to put a coin in. And listen to the music when you start up here. Very, very different than the little machine. And again, I don't understand why, other than it maybe being, like I said, a licensing issue. And I'll have to probably go with that because everyone has released these home versions have been using different soundtracks. Again, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. I mean, if you didn't grow up with these machines, you probably would not even notice, and the game is very fun. I mean, would I go out and buy this for $19? I did, and I probably would again. Of course, it's better getting it for $12.95 versus $19, but it's not a bad purchase. It's still a very good recreation of the game in such a small form factor that Super Impulse has really done a really good job at recreating these games. So let's go back to the actual Super Impulse for taking a last look and final thoughts on it. So ultimately, what do I think about this little guy? Well, I'm not going to lie. I really enjoy all these Super Impulse games. I don't think the pricing is bad. Even at $19, they're very fun. They come with the batteries, so you can take them out of the box, start playing them right away, which is kind of nice. Just I think out of all the machines that they made, just because of the artwork, that's one thing that just bothers me a little bit, and the music. Now again, the artwork is very easy to fix. If you join us over at the Tiny Arcade fan page on Facebook, Bruce Yeager has made alternative decals you can put on here to make it look literally like the arcade machine. So that's fixable. The music, it's not that really a big a deal. People like me who grew up with it, you're going to notice it. And it's just whether or not you're willing to live with it. Me, I am, because I do find that the machine is fun. I do like that the marquee is backlit on here. See, that's the lights up right there. And I do wish these other manufacturers would follow suit. It's still a fun little game, and I'm enjoying it. I hope you liked the video as well. If you see these, you know, if you see them under 20 bucks, I would say grab it. So I do want to thank you guys for joining me today on Glenn's Retro Show. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to look at my crazy hobby here, all these machines. And I would pick this up, see for 20 bucks or less. Definitely a great stocking stuffer or holiday gift any way, shape, or form, especially if it's a retro gamer. All these Tiny Arcades are. So if you did like the video, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. And once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, now and forever, game on.
Glenn at the Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.